Thank you for joining us today for AIME Women's Mortgage Network's Growth Series. This series is here for you to educate, inspire, and share your progress as we lift each other up to new levels. On today's episode, we have two of our Women's Mortgage Network members that are going to share with us their experiences of deciding to start a family, going through pregnancy, and being a new mom while working in the mortgage industry. Let's meet our panelists. From California, we have Michelle Ho Sung, loan originator from C2 Financial. And from Oregon, we have Claire Mahoney, the VP and mortgage broker at Mortgage First Corporation. Ladies, we are thrilled to have you with us today, and we appreciate you opening up to share your personal stories with us. Okay, Michelle, I think as women, we struggle with the notion of can we have it all? The soulmate, the family, a successful career. Michelle, when you were starting your career, how did you come to the decision that it was the right time to start your family?
Hey, Laura, that's a very good question and an interesting journey that I went on to discover that. I actually got married pretty young, so I didn't want to have kids initially. I met my husband in high school, and I was very driven, and he was doing his own thing, had his own career. And so we spent the whole time trying not to get pregnant
Right.
for many years. And then, Mother Nature, that motherly instinct, started, coming up for me. And I was like, okay, now's the time. Now's the time. So went for it. It wasn't as easy as we thought it was going to be. We spent all that time trying to avoid it. And then when we tried to get pregnant, it's like, why isn't this happening? But it did happen, thank God. Unfortunately, that first pregnancy ended in miscarriage. So that was very devastating, and it's just a cruel thing. Any of you ladies that have ever gone through a miscarriage, it's cruel. I mean, I have a very strong faith, but I question God on that one. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, so I said, this mother thing, not for me. Go back to my career. Then there was that instinct coming up again. I want a child. Try it again, and I have my son. So that's basically was the journey for me. And it's funny, I want to have another one now. I have a 9-year-old. So that's why the question is like so interesting, because I do struggle with that, because it never seems like the right time. But I got to tell you, that's a lie. It's never, ever going to be the right time. So if you
or the opposite.
Yeah.
Maybe it's always the right time. Meaning that you're correct. And I think Claire will probably attest to this. And Claire, I know you have a blended family, so you kind of were put into a situation that your family grew very quickly on its own. So I'm curious, what's your opinion on that too, of the right time, not the right time? How do you deal with it? Like, let's have a discussion amongst us. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can analyze all sorts of different angles and always come up with a reason for why it's the wrong time. But like when it happens, or if it comes as a surprise, like you always figure it out. And I mean, I certainly never, ever had the thought of like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that. Like they're always worth it. Like kids are like the ultimate prize, and they're always worth it. So, and yeah, I'm a blended family, like you mentioned. And so we have 6 kids, and I never in a million years was like, a little girl, like, yeah, I want 6 kids. But now that I have them, I'm like, this is amazing. And like, I had no idea that I like would have wanted this, and it's fabulous, and it's so fun, and it's crazy. but the kids all love each other and they get along, and they're so fun. I can't imagine life any other way. So, there's all sorts of, life is like that. Like you can only plan so much, and then you roll with it, and you didn't even realize what you wanted. So
exactly. So to go back to that, Michelle, as you're struggling with this question mark that's out there, I think it's always the right time, because to Claire's point, look, she said, listen, I didn't set out to have a family of 6 children, but she wouldn't, of course, change any of that from now that it's here. So we always figure it out, especially strong women in the mortgage industry. Boy, do we figure it out. We definitely, whatever it is, we get through it. Love it. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Michelle. All right. So Claire, you've already identified here that, boy, you've got a house full there of all different ages and all, a whole mixture there. So if you were going to give some tips and tricks to those moms out there of, when things get challenging, and listen, we're also in the middle of COVID. Here we are in the middle of COVID. And not only is it, sure, going through pregnancy and having little ones and all that, well, now you even got forced with having these children in the house, homeschooling, all of this. So give the audience some advice on how do you deal with, the chaos sometimes of dealing with different situations. And my mother always said, the bigger the kid, the bigger the problem. Everybody always thinks the babies are the problem, but obviously as they get older, there's new challenges. So what are some of your advice?
I haven't had the bigger kid, bigger problem thing yet, but I'm, still living it. So we'll see. But I have found that having older kids, because so like I said, we're a blended family. So 2 are biologically mine. And so mine are 5 and 8. And then our kids range all the way up to 17. And so I kind of hit fast forward and had older kids. I didn't have it in between, but it's been amazing to have help. They can drive, they can help with dishes and, give the kids a bath or whatever. So that has been huge of just leveraging, one of the biggest things that I feel like was a big win from everything shutting down with COVID and whatever is I felt like we really nailed down our chore chart, where we were just okay, if we're all here all the time, we have to all pitch in or we're all gonna go bonkers. And so having everyone really chip in has been huge, and not trying to do it all myself. And in terms of balancing that with pregnancy or a new baby, the theme of the year is all just being flexible, and that is just even more so, which I know is so hard for at least for me. I'm type A. I like knowing what to expect. I like a plan. I like a schedule. I like check boxes. So that's hard. But when I had my daughter when I was in the industry, I brought a lot of baby gear with me to the office, and I had a little pop-up playpen, and I had my breast pump, and I had all of it in my office, and I would work around, naps to make calls. And then when it was and then I'd strap her on me in a Moby wrap, and I would do emails, when she's awake or whatever. So being flexible and not having in your mind that you have to work 8 to 5 is huge, where you might work in 2-hour chunks, and one of those chunks might be from 1 to 3 in the morning when you're bouncing the baby around. So just kind of being strategic about putting phone calls during naps, and then everything else you kind of just have to plan loosely around where you can squeeze it in, I think is huge.
So I guess the biggest piece of advice is letting go a little bit of the control, and realizing to allow yourself that flexibility to not think that it has to be so finite, right? So having that flexibility to, and of course it passes, right? You go through the different cycles, and as the kids get older, you're going to change that. Awesome. Great advice. And I love the chore chart. That's good advice also.
You got to do it for your own sanity. And pay for a house cleaner worth all the money.
We're definitely going to cover that topic too. That's for sure. Okay, so Michelle, so how do you prepare your clients, your referral partners, your teams for when it's time of, okay, I'm kind of farther along in my pregnancy and it's time for me to start preparing not only personally, but professionally? What's some recommendations for that?
Yeah, I would say just to obviously let everyone know as soon as practical. I remember when I was pregnant, for me, it was past that 27-week period when you knew that even though, hopefully you will not deliver until 9 months, but there is a possibility that you could go into labor and you will have a successful delivery, maybe a preemie, after the 27-week period. So I think that's a very important time to just let everyone know what's going on. And I think people are pretty accommodating and really excited for you. So it's a good opportunity to get everyone motivated to do what you need them to do. And that means getting clients, referral partners more acquainted with your team. It's a good opportunity to make sure your systems are dialed in. And it's good to just really practice letting go, because you're going to have to let go for some period of time. Even if it's you push the baby out in one day and you're back the next day, there is a time period that no one's going to be able to call you, right? And I get what Claire's saying. That is scary. You mean I can't talk to anyone? I can't see? No, you can't, right? So you really have to kind of do a dry run almost before that happens. Do a few days like that just to see, because when you have the baby, you're gonna be all about the baby and work and wait, right? So you want to be in a position where you've done everything you can to make that transition smooth, and that you've built up your team and quite frankly brought your clients and your referral partners along and made everyone feel all warm and fuzzy about this great new chapter of your life. So I think that's really important.
You said a couple of really good points there. So one, the dry run. I think that's a great concept of, start to let go a little. Make sure that before you deliver the baby, allow some time where let your team function as if you're not there, right? So that way you can see if there's any gaps. Right. So that way, if there is a hole, you can say, okay, we missed this. We need to fix this so that going forward, everybody knows what the process is or who to go to, who to call if there's a situation. So I love the dry run.
That's a great idea.
That's good. Then the second thing is bringing your clients and referral partners along the journey with you. Now, years ago, back when I was having children, you literally were almost all right, I know you can tell I'm pregnant, but we're going to pretend that no, there's nothing maternal going on here. I'm strong. I can go out into the field and I can have this baby and be back at work in 5 minutes. But that's not the case anymore. Thank goodness. And people want to be part of that happy time. People almost need that, especially now. People need to be part of that. So by you allowing them to be part of that experience, I think that actually will bond you closer with those people.
Yes.
So I think that's a great recommendation that years ago you wouldn't do that, but yet that works now. So I love that. So that's really, really good to do that. And then, of course, the other thing is letting go of that control. Every one of us as strong women in the mortgage industry, we type A, like Claire said, we all want to control everything that we possibly can. But we know going through the pregnancy is one part, but we know that baby is going to be the main priority that we have to make sure that we take care of. And we can't be solely focused on the work we need to balance and we need to be able to be there and have that flexibility. So we need to let go of some control. And that leads me to the next question, Claire. So you were about to say about the value of a housekeeper or cleaner or some support. So what
Take my money.
Yeah. So what other support systems do you recommend? Because that's not the best use of our time. You know?
Yeah, I mean, when I had my daughter when I was in the industry, so like we have 6 kids, but only one of them was born when I was in the mortgage industry. And that was actually the year that I went through my divorce. She was only 6 months old. So I had this little teeny thing, and then I was going through a very stressful divorce. And right around the same time, my dad, who I own my business with, he was diagnosed with cancer, and it was really like stage 4, scary, totally out of work for a long, few months, which is for him, like he never even went on vacation, which now he's in remission. He's done really well. He's really healthy and back at work. And so that's great. But that was in 2015, that was a stressful year where I had a teeny baby and was going through a lot of stressful stuff all at the same time. So support is huge, and it's, you can sometimes have to reach a little bit further outside your box to find that. So my family was huge for me. Friends were huge for me. I had like these kind of ongoing group text threads that were just like checking in about whatever, but it was just like on a daily basis, was really important for me. And then even like connecting with mortgage groups on Facebook and stuff like that, like just finding, even if it's like kind of different corners of your life, like you kind of have some work support people, you have some, nitty gritty life support friends. That's huge. And then, I mean, my motto kind of became like, I cannot die on every hill. Like I have to do what is, one day at a time and what is critical in this moment. And I can't do it all perfectly. So if you look back at like pictures of, at the time I had 2 girls. So my littlest one was, infant, and then my other one was 3. And if you look at pictures of her that year in a couple year window there, she looks like a little ragamuffin. She was a strong-willed girl, which I love. She's like me, and she's gonna kill it when she's older. But she wanted to dress herself and would tantrum if I had any say in that. So her outfits looked ridiculous. And so if you look at pictures of her when she was 3, 4, 5, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. But I was like, can't die on that hill today. So, kids are fed, they went to sleep. You can't do it all. And that was something that was not critical, not mission critical. So whatever, you look like a fool, that's fine. Go to preschool looking like a fool.
I love that story. And I don't think there's a parent out there that doesn't have something similar, some story like that. But isn't that a great lesson for us? Like, isn't it a great lesson, even in business, is that sometimes the whole don't sweat the small stuff, right? Sometimes you just can't sweat the small stuff. And did it really matter? Like you said, she was clean, she was fed, she made it all right, all is well, right? We're great. So I love that advice. And you're right about the support system of, and vice versa. Remember that as much as we need it, many other people need it too. And it's that two-way street of we all, there's moments and there's things that people are going through that maybe we're not aware of. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that single text or that single comment just changes our entire perspective.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Love that. Okay, now Michelle, I know that before you came into the origination side, you actually were on the commercial banking side as a vice president. And I'm curious, what was that catalyst of what made you make the change from commercial banking to origination on the residential side?
Yep. So it was my son. I had him and I had help because I had a nanny. But I made the mistake and sent him to preschool when he was 2. I thought he needed socialization, he needed to be around other kids. And I'm like, I got this. I can bring him to daycare, drive to work, pick him up, and all will be well. And at the time, my husband was an over-the-road truck driver, so he was away a lot too. Biggest mistake of my life. Speaking of help, that's something I would say. Keep your nanny, get one, and keep her.
Yes. Yes.
He got sick so much to the point he developed asthma and was hospitalized like several times, like really, really, really bad. He had to be airlifted at one point.
Oh my goodness.
Like almost died. I hate to say that because it sounds so, but anyways, at the time I had to travel. I had a client in North Carolina, and I'm actually in Florida, by the way.
Oh, I thought you were in California. Sorry about that.
He too is, but I'm here. Yeah, I'm a Florida broker. So I just needed something to do where I could be more accessible to him, because that he was my priority now. And we were and I looked for jobs where I could work from home, do the banking thing, work from home. Nobody wanted that. Nobody had the position for that. They probably do now. And we were refinancing our home, and we went through the entire process, and we got to the signing. And my husband turned to me and he's like, "Why don't you do this?" And I was like, "I think I can. This is it." So I quit my corporate job. It was a great job, great money, great benefits. I loved what I did, but I quit. Everyone thought I was crazy. What are you doing? This is strictly commission. You've never done this before. And I had no idea how lucrative this business could be and how much I would love it. I had no idea. I did it for my son. So it's just like, it's so awesome because it's like I get to do something I love and I didn't even plan it. It's just like
That is wonderful. So you jumped in with the notion of, number one, you needed the flexibility, you needed to be able to be there for him, to take care of the family, and then you fell into something that you love to do. That is incredible. I love that. And I love that, sometimes the family piece of it is a big component as to why we dive into doing what we do. That's a big factor to us. Love it. All right, Claire, how do we get comfortable with giving ourselves permission to not always having to be super mom, super wife, super broker, super everything?
Well, first I will say that I'm still figuring this out because I still have, breakdowns about this. So I don't have all the answers, but I mean, again, going back to that, just like you can't die on every hill. It's hard to want to be the best at everything. And again, like a lot of us women in this industry, we're type A and we like winning and we like doing it all well. I don't like failing at anything. And I don't know anyone that does. So just like kind of giving yourself permission to like really break down like, okay, what is really super important and what can, be delegated or what doesn't really have to be perfect. And helping, having a housekeeper was huge for me. And
How long did it take you? How long did it take you to get a housekeeper? I'm just curious, like, was that something like, I need this immediately, or was it like you finally got worn down to the point of enough, I can't?
It was when I married my husband and we, he's working, I'm working, we now have 6 kids, and I'm like, I need help with that. And so it was pretty shortly after we got married. So like about 3 years ago, a little bit less than that. So, but yeah, once I had that, I'm like, what have I been doing? I should have done this a long time ago.
But that's the permission, Claire.
Yeah.
I know that's one specific example, but we have been conditioned that if we give something up, that we're failing or we're not doing our best. But that's the key to the permission, is that no, it's not failing. It's actually, and you know what, Michelle and I were speaking yesterday, and we said, if you think about it, we're the CEOs of our families, right? We are running, managing, directing, strategizing our families, right? So just like our businesses, when we plan for the next year or the 5 years, or we plan out the next quarter and how we're going to accomplish everything with our clients, are we doing the same things with our households and our families? Well, why would we not say an expert is perfect for this function and an expert is perfect for that function? It's the same thing as our businesses. So
and CEOs don't clean the toilets at their office.
Right, exactly. I mean, or if you're homeschooling and we don't know how to do 6th grade math, there's nothing wrong with having a tutor or having someone come in and help with 6th grade math, because we don't know. We're not an expert in that.
Right.
It's the same thing. We should all give ourselves permission to, number one, recognize we're the CEOs of our families, because we are, and then also letting go that, well, we don't do every function at our companies. Why would we expect to do it in our households?
Well, and that really protects your sanity and what you have to give as a mom to your kids. I mean,
that's right.
Earlier this year, with everything constantly changing and all these shutdowns and, homeschooling and whatever, it was getting really overwhelming fast, where, I mean, my husband and I sat down and I was like, I don't know how we're going to do this. And he was like, okay, well, we need to protect it's so easy to get overwhelmed and stressed, where the little free time you have when you get home with your kids is like, you're not even there. So what can we delegate? What can we take off of our plate to protect that time, where the hours that we do have with our kids at the dinner table or whatever before bedtime is like quality time where we have something to give, rather than I'm scrambling to finish, 6 things around the house and I'm stressed out and I'm not really paying attention or being present with my kids. So that you can't put a price tag on. Whereas what would I be making hourly cleaning the toilets or making dinner or helping with 6th grade math? So, I mean, I had someone coming to my house prepping dinners on Saturday, where I'd have 4 dinners that were just ready to throw in the oven because I was working long hours. It's been crazy busy. Yeah. And I'm like, I hate making dinner. Make dinner for 8 people. Like, that is stressful.
That's a restaurant. That's a restaurant.
Yeah. So, like, that was huge. Like, that I could walk in and be like, okay, cool. I can preheat the oven, throw that in, and then I can go play with my kids rather than stress about what am I going to make? This is going to take forever. And then, like, the chore chart where kids are helping with dishes and keeping the house, like, generally tidy. And then once a week, the cleaner comes. And then, we hired a tutor too to help with school stuff. Like, I can't be everything to perfection. And so I can delegate those things to protect my like mom time with my kids, because that I'm not going to outsource. I'm not going to delegate that. And I need to protect that, where I can be my best mom self to my kids. And thinking about it that way, I think, was really huge for me, especially this year. Like, I've, gotten better at it this year, of really realizing what I need to do to protect that.
I love that. And again, it kind of goes back of, you would do the same thing in your business. So you're literally thinking it that way is the best. What's the not negotiable? What's the not negotiable that you are not willing to give up? Well, it's that mom time. It's that special time of being present. And that's what we all need to give ourselves permission to understand, that the best use of your time is not cleaning the toilet. The best use of your time is reading the book or playing the game or sharing special time and being there, listening during dinner or whatever it is. Love it. All right, ladies, this has been awesome. You are amazing. One piece of advice. What's that final piece, Michelle?
I love the word you use, permission, because this is a message for myself as well, is that give yourself permission to have it all, the business, the baby, the family. Give yourself permission to also not do it all.
Yep.
right? So I think that that's it in a nutshell.
Claire.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think echoing the like delegating what you can delegate, protecting your mom time, protecting time with your spouse, like
Yep.
date night is a non-negotiable in our family, and I feel like that's huge. When you are you know, not just constantly pouring out, you're being poured into, and having a little bit of recharge time, that's so important. And if that's with your spouse, if that's with girlfriends or whatever, like just some sort of recharge amount of time. It doesn't have to be, you know, a weekend or whatever, but like, you know, for us, it's every other Friday and Saturday. Like we try to get at least one protected date night. And that's, I think it's huge for kind of like a reset. And yeah, I think that's super important. And then also like on the business side of things, I did not have a CRM in place when I had my daughter. And I think I wish I would have done that sooner, and just done a better job of reconnecting as soon as I was back. You know, going through people that even just recently closed while your team was taking care of it. Realtor partners, like just blocking out a day to like call them all and just be like, hey, I'm back in the game. Here I am. How did it go while I was gone? What could I have done better? What can I do to help you now?
That's a good piece of advice.
I'm back, because I feel like I didn't do that as intentionally. And a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't know you were back. Like I could have done a better job of being like, here I am, don't forget about me. But yeah, I mean, I do think Michelle had a great point of kind of allowing them to see that human element of, you know, sending a picture with you and your baby would be adorable. People love that. And they love that they see that you're real and you have a life and you're not just a name or an email signature line. So
I love that. And Claire, that's great advice about the CRM. And you're right, saying I'm back. And like you said, how did it go? Is there anything, you know, you want to review with me? You know, that type of thing. And sharing the baby picture. I mean, who doesn't? I don't care who you are. Everyone wants to see the baby picture. Everyone. Yes. So I think that's a great piece of advice. Well, ladies, you have been awesome. And thank you so much for sharing your insights and opening up your personal stories to us. We truly appreciate it. And this was very fitting that we are about to embark on the Thanksgiving holiday. And certainly this is a time of being grateful, and we have lots of gratitude for you. Of course, I am so thankful to AIME and all the wonderful women of the Women's Mortgage Network. And be sure to tune in, not next week, but the following week on December 4th. We are going to have Casey from Zinix here, who is going to discuss compliance and preparing for 2021. Thanks so much, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Be well and have a great weekend.
Thank you.